Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to DIYguru. Today we are just going through this introduction to this electric vehicle technology, and we will see some of the aspects which is related to this electric vehicle industry as well this technology, that how we are moving towards this electric vehicle, and what will be the future aspects in this electric vehicle technology. So before starting this this electric vehicle technology, so I just want to explain one thing, that this is nothing a new technology that we are having this electric vehicle, because this electric vehicle introduced in 18th century, and because of some lack of resources, or we can say that because of some lack of R&D, and that time we were not having the rechargeable batteries as well. Okay, so the main concern was like because of the higher cost of that vehicle, and lack of the R&D is making that electric vehicle at that time was not suitable. Okay, while comparison with this existing automotive. So what happened actually? So that time this electric vehicle failed because of these two reasons. Okay, so so the basic thing is, what is this electric vehicle? First thing is that what is this electric vehicle? So the basic thing I terminalize like in that way, like we are having this electric and this vehicle, two parts we are having. So this electric is more related to the powertrain, which is supplied by the electric resources, and the vehicle is more related to the automotive system. Okay, or we can say that the conventional automotive system. So basically the electric vehicle is a automotive system, okay, which is powered by, okay, which is powered by the any of the electric vehicle resource. So that will drive the powertrain, and it will supply the power through the resource to the wheel. So that is, we concluded that. So how this electric vehicle actually work? Okay, so in that electric vehicle, basically you will have some of the units which are interconnected, and they will deliver the power in a sequence. Okay, so in this way we just we can understand. But the thing is, whatever the conventional system we were having, okay, so if we are having that conventional automotive system, then what is the use of this electric vehicle? Okay, so the concern is, took place after, we were having so much impact on the environment. So after seeing the environment impact and the climate changes, we got to know that we have to move towards the non-renewable resources to the renewable resources. Okay, then only we can make our environment clean and green. So for that, the basic thing is, if you are having the non-renewable energy generation resources, and you are using the electric vehicle, okay, to mitigate the carbon emission or some of the greenhouses gases, so that is also not feasible, because if you are producing the energy by the means of non-renewable resources energy, and you are just using the electric vehicle because you want to reduce the impact on environment because of some of the pollution. So somehow, if we will conclude that indirectly we are just polluting the environment by generating the energy for the electric vehicle, okay, in non-renewable resources. So that is the problem. So what is the basic thing is, the thing we should harness the energy in renewable, in a way of that is having some renewable resources. Okay, so the thing is, like, if you are using the electric vehicle, so you should have the electric vehicle, okay, and that electric vehicle is powered by the renewable energy resources. Then only we can say that this is the sustainable way to utilize the energy and to make the environment clean. Okay, so why I said this is nothing new, because we were having this automobile sector, or we can say that we were having this conventional automotive system not from now. This is just we introduce, okay, by changing some of the powertrain drive structure and the components. So we said that this is electric vehicle, but directly, okay, indirectly we can understand that this is automotive parts that we are changing the architecture itself, that's it. Okay, because we have introduced these IC engines and the petrol vehicles a long back ago. Okay, that time we were having this IC engine, okay, and these petrol engine. But after the time, what happened? See, if you are having this conventional EV, that conventional automotive, that time the major concern was not the environment. Okay, we just introduced these automotive system, okay, automobiles for our convenience in some different segments. Okay, so that time we introduced like that. But after the time, day by day, we have seen that the environment is having uh, very big hazards because of this pollution introduced by this industries and automobiles. So we that time we were not having that much concern, because that time the fossil fuel was having, we were having the fossil fuel in a good amount. Okay, but now we are not having the fossil fuel in a good amount as well. And the second thing is that is also impacting our environment and the climate. So if we see that in world, if we will go for the statics of this pollution, like in most polluted 22 cities, or we can say that 18th 80 cities are from India itself. So that is why, and the most populated city we have seen the statics is Delhi itself. Okay, so that is why now we are more concerned about the environment impact, because this is going to be more hazards to the human health as well as the climate. So that is why we moved to the conventional automotive to the electric vehicle. That is our motive actually. Sorry. So in that way we moved. Okay. So this electric vehicle is now replacing, this conventional automotive because of so many advantages, and because of the running cost of that vehicle. So that how we move to this electric vehicle basically. Okay, like if we go in past years, that we will see that this electric vehicle is growing very fastly. Okay, because now we are having a good infrastructure in R&D, and we are having tools, or we are having the skilled workplace that is reducing the cost as well. Okay, they are optimizing the cost, and they are having good tools to do more research in electric vehicle. So now this electric vehicle is more convenient, and this is having more advantages than the IC engines, because this is a clean energy resources that we are using to run our vehicle. So it depends on that. Okay, so that is why this electric vehicle industry is growing continuously, because now our concern is environment. So moving forward, so if we will see the present status of this automotive sector, so in this present status of this automotive sector, we will see that Indian automobile industry is the fourth largest industry in the world. Okay, so now we can just we can analyze that this is in India, this automobile industry is having a large scale. Okay, so even not in India, if we are talking about the world, so that means all the countries moving towards this automotive sector, especially in electric vehicle. Okay, so it has been seen that the annual turnover by this industry is like $100 billion, and it is it is generating the employment is like 32 millions people which employ. Okay, so like we are having some different segments in automotive sector, like we are having two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and the four-wheeler. And in these three segments, the two-wheeler industry, okay, in India is the largest in the world, this two-wheeler industry. So that is the largest in the world. So we can just see that the scenario that two-wheeler, you know two-wheeler industry is more prominent in this world. Okay. And this is also important that India is also a largest tractor manufacturer. So this is the scenario that we are having in India, like how this automotive sector, impacting the world. If we are seeing the India situation or India status, and this one is also that the eighth largest commercial vehicle manufacturer in the world. Okay, so this is somewhat I am saying that this status of automotive sector of about the India. And if we talk about the GDP, okay, which is also called as a gross domestic product in India. So if we are just talking about that, then we will see that the automobile sector currently contributes about 50% of the manufacturing gross domestic product in India. This is the situation of this automotive sector, and this is a major industry that is, contributing in GDP as well. So if we are talking about the industry GDP, that means 26% of the industry GDP and the 7.1% of overall GDP that is taking place. So this is a this is a big impact on this GDP as well. And this is called a positive impact on this GDP that is contributing a large percentage in GDP. And this sector approximately contributing 13% of excise revenue to the government. So that is why this industry is very important in this case of the GDP or any of the this segment that we are taking into account while a contribution or to calculate the contribution of the industries. So how this industry is growing actually? Okay, so we use this. We can say that this is a transportation industry or automotive industry. Okay, so how we use and what are the elements and the functions and the impact of these technology. Okay, so we will see that if we talk about the transportation. So in this transportation, if you will see the we can say that the transportation means it can be bifurcated in three types. Like we are just transport, we are using the transportation, so it is for the human being. And if we are transporting transport we are doing for this animals, and we are transporting some of the goods. So it depends on the article that what we are transporting. If we talk about the elements, that the elements is having some of the infrastructure. Okay, then vehicles, operation, policies, these things we include in transportation industry. That means this is having a different infrastructure. Okay, the different segments of the vehicle and how they are operating, and what are the operations that we are taking from this industry, and what are the policies which supporting this automotive industry. So these elements are taking a major role to this industry. And what are the functions actually if we talk about? So they are not limited functions, but some major functions we can say that we use this on industry for the passenger. We also use some of the medical facilities that we are having. We can say that the transportation of the medical facilities, so and the freight corridor. So that is also very important. That is also automobile sector that we include in the transportation industry. So this transportation industry, it can be have some different modes, like it can be air, railways, okay, and by road we just have this automotive industry, okay. And if we talk about the boats, that we can say that the water boats, this one is also a transportation industries. and how this is going to impact this transportation industry. So as I told you, we have seen this present status of the automotive sector. So by this we can understand that this is very important sector for the economic, and we can say that the environment as well. So this the impact which is going with the impact is going to be more towards the economic planning and the environment. So these are the some of the basic things that we can understand, that how this electric vehicle industry or this automotive industry is taking place in different segments. Now moving forward, that we can classify the automobiles, okay, and we can classify, this classification is basically we can define these classification by the use, by the capacity, and the model which we are having for this automobiles. So these are some of the basic terminology that in that way we can define. Suppose if I'm saying that I'm just having one two-wheeler, one cargo wheeler, and one truck. So the use of these three segments will be different. Like by two-wheeler, so we are using for the passenger transportation. For three-wheeler, if I'm talking, it might be possible that we are using for the passenger transportation or as a cargo. But if I'm having truck, that means definitely it is going for the transportation of goods or some of the articles to move from one place to another place. Okay, if we talk about the capacity, so definitely if I'm talking about the segments of different vehicle, so that is more related to the capacity of that vehicle. See, if you cannot transfer a heavy goods by bike or some of the three-wheeler cargos, so the capacity is defined with respect to the segment of that vehicle. So if we are talking about the capacity, that means it depends on the vehicle powertrain structure. Okay, make and model, it is also more related to the model, that how we are making that model and which model we are making. So in that way we can differentiate. Fuel used, I also said this thing that we were having this IC engine, okay, a long back ago. So this is a conventional vehicle architecture, this fossil fuel which uses fossil fuels. And the thing is, now we are having this electric vehicle, so the fuel we can say that is a energy, or we can say that the electric power we are using as a fuel in powertrain. So we can bifurcate according to the fuel use also. Okay, so the this classification is also, I told you that it is also depend on the architecture of that um, hello, yeah. So that is also more related to the body style, wheels, and the drivetrain. That which drivetrain you are using. So basically, we conclude that this body style, wheels, and the drive and the transmission. These four terminology we can just compile with one thing, that is called a, we can say that the vehicle dynamics of that vehicle, and the other things are the architecture of that vehicle. Okay, so structure of that vehicle and the use of that vehicle. So we can conclude in that way. So we can bifurcate this classification of automobiles in that way only. Okay, so okay, so what is the potentials we are having, like in this electric vehicle segments for India? So if I'm talking about this potential of EVs for India, so we can say that there are some different, like I told you, that we are having a different segment, like two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and four-wheeler. So, and one another segment is called as a micro electro mobility. This micro electro mobility basically if we are producing some of the product which are the size is small, like more than this two-wheeler, and these we can consider some of the goods, some of the articles, which we use to transfer some small goods, so that we can say that these micro electromobility, you know, is just a segment where we work for a um, the specification of that vehicle will be for smaller use. Okay, we cannot use this micro electromobility for a heavy duty applications. So in two-wheeler we are having like again we are having the segments like two-wheeler for personal commute and two-wheeler for this delivery. Two-wheeler for personal commute means that we are having the two-wheeler as a passenger vehicle, so that we can say that is a personal commute. And if we are using this two-wheeler for delivery use, okay, so that is we can say that is a logistic vehicle segment in two-wheeler. Okay, like we are having some bike which is having the structure that it can fill up some of the small goods. Okay, in backside we are having that structure, so we can use that for this delivery purpose. Some of the cargo two-wheelers are now introduced in India, and they are more flexible for this delivery rather than this personal commute. And in the same way we can bifurcate this three-wheeler and this three-wheeler logistic. So three-wheeler we use for passenger vehicle, like you have seen that we use this three-wheeler like the passenger auto. Okay, so that we are having, if we are having the auto rickshaw, that means we are using it as a passenger vehicle. But if we are talking about this three-wheeler for logistic, that means this is a cargo which are using for logistic purpose. Like in four-wheeler also we can define two ways, like four-wheeler passenger and four-wheeler logistic. So four-wheeler passengers, that we are having the electric car, and the four-wheeler logistic that we are having a some, like we can say that some of the pickups or loader or cargos we are having, like Tata Ace electric vehicle we are having. So it is a cargo vehicle, or it's a logistic vehicle. Okay, so these things we can see that. So what are the challenges of this electric vehicle in India? So the main concern about this challenges the EVs, not even in India, if we talk about the world also. So the major challenge is the infrastructure. Okay, because if you are having like 1,000 electric vehicle, but you are not having the charging infrastructure properly, so there is no use of these 1,000 electric vehicle as well. So the charging station, or we can say that infrastructure, is a very important thing, and this is very challenging task for India. Okay, because the diversity is very much here in India, and we are having these challenges because of the grid as well, because we are lacking itself. If you go through the data which is provided by the Ministry of Power, so if you will see there that we are already lacking the power, that we are not having that much power to feed up for the commercial use, or we can say that the household use. Then if we are introducing this EV, so how we will provide the power for this EV infrastructure? That is also a challenge actually. Okay, we are shortfall in units, and if we are using 30% of the electric vehicle, so we are going to face very very high impact on grid. So we have to introduce some of the renewable resources grid, or we can say that we have to introduce the microgrids for this, to fulfill the demand of the electric vehicle. So this is one is also a challenge. And there is no proper EV ecosystem. That means the ecosystem is a balanced system. In any of the we if we are talking about the ecosystem, that means it should be the eco-friendly, and it should be the sustainable way to run that system. that is called the ecosystem. So there is nothing like we are importing some of the articles which are using in EVs. So that is not a proper channel to run this electric vehicle. We are importing some of the motors or some of the converters directly from the China or some of the other countries. So that is breaking the flow of that ecosystem. That is not a common closed loop ecosystem. Okay, and the thing is, the another thing is limited renewable energy resources. That is what I told. If you are having the selective vehicle, that means you have to install these microgrids which are generating the power in a renewable energy resources. So they should have the capability to generate the electricity in the way of renewable things. Okay, then only this will be a sustainable, we can say that this will be the sustainable way to handle this electric vehicle. Okay, and if you are having the limited charging station, that is also a challenging task for this electric vehicle. Okay, and if you will go for this, so that you will got to know that we are not having big scale of production units for electric vehicle battery cells especially. Okay, so this is also a limitation that in electric vehicle in India. Oh, and the second thing is that the understanding and the awareness of this electric vehicle in people, because people are having some of the misleading facts that electric vehicle is not safe. The first thing. The second thing is it's very costly. The third thing is the range anxiety that they are having, that if we are having the electric vehicle, so it will give like 200 kilometers only. Okay, and then what we will do after the discharging of the batteries. So these things making people more misunderstanding. It is creating the misunderstanding, and people are not adopting this EV in India. So, and because of the lack of education and the awareness also, it is impacting the EV sector in India. So that is also a challenge. And to set up a industry, okay, we want some of the skilled workplace, but in India we are not getting the skilled workforce for the EV industry. So these are some challenges that we are facing in this electric vehicle India. Okay, so okay, so this is representing that how other countries and means producing the energy, and how it is impacting the economy as well. So if you will see here, they it is representing that how the different countries or segments of this world, that is producing the energy, and in what way. Like it is representing coal, gas, oil, nuclear, hydro, and wind, solar. So these are the segments that we are having. So if you will see here, some of the China, Europe, North America, so this rest of Asia Pacific. So there is the representation that we can see that how this power in producing is. So if you will see here, so this is just representing, okay, the energy production level, that how it is increasing. So if you will see, like in 2000, in 2000 the energy production was less. Now it is continuously increasing. It's continuously increasing. And this blue line is representing the annual electricity demand growth. Okay, so from 2000 to 2015 it is continuously, if you will see, so it is increasing. Okay, and here also that we can understand, we need some of the renewable resources for the industry, this energy production. So then only we can justify this electric vehicle. Otherwise there is no use of this electric vehicle if we are producing the energy by the means of non-renewable resources. Okay, so thank you so much all. We will discuss more about this. Thank you for this. This is all, and we'll